I invite you to follow my story with an open heart, because I strongly believe this is what it's all about. It is a regular Sunday morning, nothing unusual, until, in a heartbeat, the air begins to sizzle with tension. My partner and I are having breakfast. We talk, we chat, we laugh about our new dog, Frida. The smell of fresh coffee, fresh bread, everything is cozy and nice. And then I decide to share a new idea that I had during the dog walk, a new approach for my coaching method. I passionately explain how I want to work with my clients' feelings of overwhelm through awareness of the body, the breath, and through voice. He listens for a while and then he responds with his very own perspective. Much more analytical, much more systemic. He explains how leaders sometimes would be overlooking the bigger picture or how they should see things differently. Suddenly, I feel this weird sensation in my body. A wild mix of shame, anger, and fear are crawling up in my body, and I realize I feel belittled. We all want to be seen. We all want to be listened to. And especially when it comes to our passion, we crave compassion. And in this moment, he just doesn't get it. And neither do I. What began as sharing a plan swiftly turned into a heated discussion about who is right and who is wrong. I surely don't want to follow his abstract analysis, and he doesn't want to follow me in my emotions. Oh well. The temperature rises, my throat tightens, and my voice gets louder. This is exactly what I teach to my clients. The voice, the larynx, tightens up as we feel threatened. It's a natural response, and here it is happening to me in real time. Yes! Damn it! We can do so much better. Why are we entangled like this so easily? Finally, after some more arguments, he says he would rather not continue because this is not leading anywhere, right? And so we shift into a lighter topic, but the lump in my throat stays. And I have a question. Is this what we do in our society? Do we stop talking when it gets difficult? Do we cut off our voices before we go deeper? And even worse, I think we turn to judgment instead, to labels. You're so emotional, you're so brainy, you're such a mansplainer, you're a feminist, you're woke. You're wrong, I'm right. Right? And where do we end? Lonely, bitter, exhausted. We retreat into our peer groups and in separate echo chambers, where we feel safe, where we feel understood. We don't resonate. We disconnect and we self-silence. Our society is experiencing a vocal burnout. We're so tired of discussing. We're so tired of defending. We are so tired of being shouted down. But what if we tried a different approach? What if the solution isn't more volume and more power, but less voice, softer voice, and more empathy? And as I think about that idea, I come up with a new problem, because voice and empathy, my two favorite growth topics, they are considered as being soft. I had an agent even call them girls' topics. Can you imagine? Girls' topics. And let's talk about Elon Musk. He suggested we should get rid of empathy because it will ruin us. Oh well. And here's what I think. Empathy isn't for cowards. Empathy is tough, and it's inconvenient. It's not our first idea, and it's much, much harder to practice than shouting. Softening the voice, turning inward, is really the harder choice, but we turn to the easy way out by shouting, judging, and all of that. So voice and empathy, they are soft skills. I mean, hello? But science shows a very interesting connection between the two, and I think they are this magical couple. Science shows that when we educate children with music, education, and vocal development, then they actually show better social skills and more empathy. This was a study conducted in 2023, published in 2024 by the University of Southern California. So voice is not just decoration. It shapes our capacity to feel. Now that could be a solution, right? So why don't we give it a little try in this room? And I'm going to invite you to hum a song with me, and I'm very curious if that will work. So I'm going to start humming a song, and you just join me in. Because what we learn from this study is that a joyful use of our voices will shape the sound of the world. So let's give it a try, shall we? And once more. Can we try a canon? Can we make that? Let's do it. We start and you come then. I try to conduct you. So. Just feel the presence of your voices. How you build resonance in this room with perfect strangers. We don't even care, we just listen to each other. You listened to each other in the canon, and we connected just through sound. So, if we can change the sound of this space here, I believe we can change the sound of the world. And we can start by tiny things. So let's get back to our breakfast table. I still have this lump in my throat, and I can't stand it. So in the middle of some random sentence, I don't even know what we are talking about, I stop and I say, can we please go back to our discussion? It feels like an open wound. I need to finish. He looks at me puzzled. What do you need? And I say, I felt belittled when you just took over. It hurt. I really, really care about my clients' feelings. And I want to validate those before I zoom out to the bigger picture like you did. That's just who I am. He nods and he says, I get it. That's who you are. And you know what? I felt sad too, because he didn't want to follow my ideas as well. So, I felt unseen too. We put our weapons down. We enter this space of compassion. And then he shares this image. I will never forget, and actually I thought it was quite smart. He shared an image. He said, it's like we're standing on a giant chessboard. You're standing right next to the king or queen, empowering the player, zooming in. And I do it differently. I look at the fields, the movement, the possibilities, the spaces, and it's the same field, just a different angle. And all of a sudden, everything was gone. Our tension was gone. Our voices were soft, and we could actually reconnect. Tanya Singer, she's a leading neuroscientist on empathy and compassion, and they are actually two different sets of networks in our brains. She says that when we actively train compassion and empathy, that our brains and behaviors will change for good, but we need to cultivate those practices. So she calls this peace building in our society. Yeah, so peace building. So I believe in this sense that we can do so much better. If we only tried, if we soften our voices, new things can happen. I remember one client, a female leader. She had this really strong voice of leadership, and she was strong and dominant, and she thought she had to be. And then we practiced her being soft. And all of a sudden, this mix of compassion and voice changed everything. So people started to resonate with her, and they started to trust her. And the sound of leadership changed, and she became the true great leader who she was. So what can we all do to change the sound of the world? Well, we started today, so we created some resonance, and this is what we can do each and every day. We can create resonance with each other. And they are tiny, tiny steps in each and everybody's life where we can build compassion in small steps. And I'd like to share with you some of these steps. And you know, we did those on the breakfast table in slow motion. So first of all, humming a song. Hum a song when it gets difficult. Just hum your way through difficult situations. Second one, pause, breathe, and then connect again, and then repair, and then get close again. Third, soften your voice. It's easy. Just take the pressure out. And the fourth is stay in connection even if it's difficult, even if we are in disagreement. We need to stick to each other to find solutions. The next one is dare to go deeper, dare to explore emotions. They are human. We all are human. We have those emotions. We need to get to know ourselves and also the others. And then replace judgment with curiosity, and replace the loudness with resonance. We don't need perfect voices. We need present ones. This is where true, impactful presence lies. Society has a lump in its throat, and with it, our democracy. And just imagine if we connected more. Like in our breakfast table, we did transform compassion turned conflict into connection. And imagine if we did that more often, not just in our homes, but also in schools, in workplaces, in businesses, in politics, in wherever you can imagine. Everywhere we can do those tiny little steps. If we let compassion guide our voices, maybe we will hear the sound of trust again. And this is where change begins. Thank you.